It's here. It's actually here. Okay, I need to see this for a second. Look at this packing job. Like, this is tight. That is secure. Cool. Look at this beast. Now that is a camera.
Work hard, rest often.
I hope you enjoyed that little intro sequence. Now allow me to introduce you to my new, old favorite camera, the Mamiya 645 Pro TL. The Pro TL version, for context, has through the lens metering, and it's the Pro model, so you can change the actual film backs on this guy as well. So you can just pop that sucker off. You can see if this were a digital sensor, that's the size of the sensor there. So you compare that to a 35mm roll of film or a full frame sensor, same thing. It's quite a bit bigger, and because of that, this is a pretty big friggin' camera. It's a bit of a beast, and it is quite heavy, but the quality out of this thing, the usability is just insane. Now, I ordered this guy from Japan, and it took like a week or two to get here, but oh my God, this camera is just such a joy to use. So currently on it, I have a 55mm lens, which is the equivalent of about a 35mm, which is a focal length that I always love. And I know a lot of people don't like the 35mm focal length for portraits. For me, I love it because you get that background in there. It's great for full bodies. It's great for those 3/4 horizontal images where you get a lot of the background in them. And you can even punch in closer for sort of these close-up shots as well, but not getting too close as to distort things. So I just absolutely love this. This lens is the Mamiya Secor CN version. It's a 2.8 lens, and that's actually pretty fast as far as medium format film is concerned because you have such a larger image circle. So the optics change in that way where you're not going to be finding a lot of 1.2s, 1.4s. Also, because you're on medium format, the depth of field is pretty razor thin, especially when you get to 2.8. Now for this guy, originally when I got it, actually, I had to kind of figure out a couple things. For one, there's separate batteries in the grip to in the camera. And I didn't know that at first and tried to take some photos and nothing was working. And I wondered why. Well, this is an automatic grip that it not only when you take the photo does it take the photo, but it winds everything for you. So you take the photo and it automatically winds after. Now, I don't actually have any film in this guy. Like you can see, the back there is, there's no film loaded in the mag. Pop that closed, but if I pull out the dark slide, there's a little guy there for it. And if I go to take a photo, for one, you have this little switch here. And if you go to start, it'll automatically wind it to the starting position. But listen to the shutter out of this thing, because it is insane. It's such a great sound. I just absolutely love it. And then popping this out again is going to rewind that back to the starting position. And also something else I love, just a nice little safety feature. The dark slide is in. You can't take a photo. Like, it just won't. It won't let you. You have your little ISO dial here for whatever film speed you're using. I like to have it a little bit under what the speed of the film I'm using actually is, because that allows me to slightly overexpose the film. Because with digital, you sometimes would want to slightly underexpose so you retain highlight information, but film, especially color negative film, is really good at retaining highlights and a lot worse at retaining shadows. So if you overexpose it a little bit, you can easily bring a couple stops of highlights back and you get those details in the shadows, which is a great way to save yourself there. So if I'm at ISO 400, let's say on my film, like if I'm shooting portrait 400, I'm gonna be metering at like 360, 320 ISO. So that way it reads it as slightly overexposed, and I get a safer image that way. You have your shutter speed dial here, and this whole thing is modular. I love having the eye level finder here versus the down low style where you're looking down through the pentaprism. And that's just because of the way that I shoot. I like being able to have it up to my eye, have an additional point of contact for more stability, but I also just like it for the fashion stuff I do because of the different angles and perspectives that I always try to get. Now, I shot a couple rolls on this thing. I did a couple fashion shoots. I also did an artist spotlight with an actor that I'm friends with, and the photos out of this are just absolutely amazing. They just have a certain quality to them that I understand why so many fashion photographers, why the greats out there would always shoot on medium format film, be it 6x5, 6.7, or even 8x10. Now, this thing, because it's 6.45 and not like the RZ or RB 6.7s, it's a little more portable. And as somebody who shoots a lot of on-location work, having something a little bit lighter, this is still heavy, a little lighter and a little easier to carry around than a RB or RZ 6.7. It makes my life just that much easier and works for my workflow while still getting an insane amount of quality out of the final image. And that usability for me is just absolutely a game changer. And for portraits, for landscapes, for everything, it is just such a great camera. I absolutely love it. Something that I do know is that I have to be more steady when I take the photos because unlike a mirrorless camera, this has a huge mirror in here that is going to flap up every time the photo is taken. So I need to hold that real steady, breathing in and out like a sniper, just like really just click, that type of thing. And it's all manual focus, obviously being film, but when you nail focus on this thing, it is just, there's nothing quite like it. The images out of this are just insane, especially shooting some portrait, getting some great fashion, some great portrait images. It just creates this look that I am absolutely in love with. This is my main go-to film camera for any of my work now, and I've started shooting a lot more digital alongside film, where before I'd be primarily digital and use film more for kind of life moments, especially 35mm, where now I'll shoot both hand in hand. I'll have, beside my EOS R, I'll have the Mamiya, and I'll jump back and forth, so that way I'm using the digital camera as a backup almost, getting those images so I know I have them, especially if it's a commercial job or something more important where we need that safety. We have it on the digital, and I'm able to use that as a little extra little bit to get my settings dialed in with this guy as well, because it can work with the same flash triggers that I use on my Canon EOS R, and I haven't really had any issues with them so far in the couple rolls that I've shot. Now, obviously film is quite expensive, but doing this professionally, it's a business expense, and for me, the quality is really worth it. And it's something that people always love, especially with the resurgence of it, where you're like, oh, the classic shot on film captions, but people are like, oh, that was shot on film. Oh, that's so cool. What did you shoot it on? You show them the camera, and it's a great, I find it helps bring people together in a way that sometimes digital just doesn't. But that's just a weird artsy film bro thing or something. I don't know. But also something else cool that came with this guy. For any landscape shots or any tripod work, if I'm in a studio or something, I do have a little cable release for some slower shutter action there. Although I have realized that you have to be careful when you're using this guy, because sometimes you'll be raising your tripod and hit the button and then it'll go off anyways. And then sometimes your photo will come out all wonky because you didn't intend to take the photo when you're still setting up the shot. But you know what happens, live and learn. Be careful of this button. Treat it like a detonator, because when that goes off, photos being taken, you get a couple more photos to a roll with this than you do with 6x7. So if I put a roll of 120 in, say, the RB 6.7, I would get about 12 shots per roll, whereas with this guy I'm getting about 16. So it is a little more economical in that sense as well. Now the Pro TL bottle is about like $1,000 more with a lens than you'll find like a standard Mamiya 645. But I needed all those additional things with it to make it more efficient and just work for my particular style of shooting and the work that I create. But if you're looking into a Mamiya, if you're looking to medium format film, maybe a standard Mamiya 645 is exactly what you need and is at a right price point for you. But for me, the Pro TL was where it's at, and I'm absolutely in love with this camera. I can't wait to shoot so much more with it, shoot some projects. I am this is going to be many years in the making, but I'm starting to shoot with this in a way to kind of create some images for maybe a book down the line. I know, but you know what? I think the quality out of them, it just makes sense for it. It's just, I started shooting with it and I'm like, yeah, and I've had the idea in my head for a little bit and have kind of started taking a couple images that might go towards it one day, but you will see those closer to when that would actually be a physical thing. Now, even though shooting with this for hours, sometimes your wrist starts to hurt a little bit, but you get used to it. The quality is, like I said, I could go on about it for days. And I just stuck a standard Manfrotto tripod plate on there so it matches all my different plates that I have on different tripods if I'm doing that sort of thing as well. You just get a different step down ring for any filters similar to any other lens that you would have. And honestly, I am absolutely in love with this camera and the results that it produces. I can't wait to shoot with it more and to show you guys the images that it creates. Let me know if you want to see more videos on this camera and my journeys with it. And to be sure to see them when they come out, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like and leave a comment letting me know that you did so I know to make more of these in the future. And as always, my friends, work hard, rest often. I'll see you on the next one. I guess now I have to clean up, don't I? Although, she doesn't seem to mind.